Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me. It's good to have you with me. In case you don't know what's going on, watch the video that precedes this video that kind of shows you or tells you about everything I've done on the two channels I had. I've kind of gone back to one channel now. So I'm back to the old Triple T channel. Everything's going to be here now. So we'll be back to business as normal, but you may see other videos from time to time that deal with topics that are not of the general theme of news, politics, and culture and what have you. But by and large, the videos are going to be of the same nature as they were before the recent upheaval. So I'm glad to have you with me. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to get to what's in the news right now. At the top of the headlines, of course, for me anyway, is the saga of Julian Assange. As you know, for quite some time now, we have had a swath of good people, innocent people, patriotic people who have been doing good and decent things for the cause of liberty and the cause of freedom. And they've been shining the light in areas where lights need to be shined. And, this has resulted, of course, in some of these people facing incarceration or worse. I have in mind, of course, Gonzalo Lira, who is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Gonzalo. We have not forgotten you. We will not forget you. I'm thinking of Edward Snowden, who is now living in Russia because of what he did to expose the federal government of the United States and its spying efforts on the American people. And for that, he had to flee the country. This should not be the case, folks. This is supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, the First Amendment, the ability to speak your mind and the ability to say what you want to say and to espouse your convictions however you see fit. If you have opinions that are different from mine, that's okay. I don't have any desire to shut anybody else down. If I tell you how I feel about a myriad of different issues, and I speak to those issues here on my channel or on social media, on Twitter or anywhere, that's supposedly my right as an American citizen. And if you disagree with everything that I say or some of what I say, that's fine. It doesn't rattle my cage at all. I'm fine with people speaking their mind. I'm all for the marketplace of ideas. I believe that the marketplace of ideas is where everybody's views should be heard, and bad ideas should go to die. Good ideas should be heard. And Julian Assange is a man who deserves a medal. He didn't deserve incarceration. I believe he was locked away in one form or another for 62 months. He was charged, of course, by the American government with espionage. He first fled to the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK, but eventually, of course, for political asylum or safe harbor, what have you. But eventually, of course, the Brits pulled him out of the embassy and they put him in some kind of prison there, I believe in London, somewhere in the UK. But as time has gone on, finally, he has been released. And as I speak, I believe he's back in his homeland of Australia. But in order to be released, he had to agree to plead guilty to one charge of conspiring. He charged to plead guilty to a single criminal count of conspiring to obtain and disclose classified U.S. national defense documents, according to filings in the U.S. District Court for the Northern Mariana Islands. So, and I believe that's where he's going to appear before a judge. He's not coming to the U.S. mainland. He's going there. And from all I am reading, he's going to be convicted of this charge, and he's going to be given time served, and he's going to be released. So this is a fantastic day for Julian Assange. It's a fantastic day for liberty. It's a fantastic day for freedom, but it is also a day that should never have come to pass because he shouldn't have been incarcerated in the first place. Neither should Edward Snowden. And we need to take this opportunity to ring the bell of freedom and understand that Julian Assange is one of many thousands of people in the United States in particular that are being held simply because they chose to exercise their rights as an American and have their voice heard. I have in mind the J6 prisoners who still remain in the shadow of the White House, locked up, while criminals who cross our borders illegally and commit murder left and right are just given a free pass. It's not right. And the American people, by and large, know this is not right. This is why, folks, this November, we simply have to overwhelm the polls to overcome the dirty dealings that are going to happen this November in the election. But this is what we have to do. You have got to make your voice heard. Here in Alabama, it's a cinch that Trump, of course, is going to win here. He'll win handily here. But that's not the point. I want to go and vote and just have my voice heard and add to that number. I want this to be an overwhelming victory. Is Trump a perfect candidate? No, he is not. Was he my first choice? No, he was not by a long shot. But given that this is a binary choice we have here, it is Trump or it is Biden, there is no choice. What is most important is getting rid of this demented, old, doddering fool in the White House who is taking the United States down to perdition as we speak. I don't know how much longer we can survive unless our chart is reconfigured, unless we do an about face. We have so many problems. I believe our most pressing problem, if it's 1 and 1A, it's either our border or it is the hostility that has been fomented on behalf of the American government toward Russia. Completely unnecessary. I'm sorry to belabor the point, but folks, this is so vitally important. There is no reason for us to be hostile toward the largely free and Christian nation of Russia. Were it President Tim in the White House, the first thing I would do after ordering the military to the Rio Grande River would be to call Vlad and say, Vlad, let's talk, buddy. And the hostility would cease right then and there. And we would reset the world, and we would end NATO by and large. NATO, of course, is the United States, and it's irrelevant. It is antiquated. NATO was formed after the Second World War to contain Germany. That, of course, is moot by this point. NATO, there is no need for NATO. We do not need to contain Russia. My Lord, we got bases all around Russia. And again, how would we feel as Americans, if you're an American listening to me right now, if Russia put bases in Mexico and in bases in Canada and nuclear submarines right off our waters in the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean or the Gulf of Mexico? They have sent a fleet down to Cuba. I don't know if they're still there or not, but how does that make us feel as Americans? We wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that. Yet we virtually surround Russia, and we go back on our word, and we continue to creep east toward their border. This is why Putin had to act. This is one reason why Putin had to act in Ukraine. And of course, late news from there is that there's been an attack in Crimea, and this attack was facilitated by American weapons. These lunatics in Washington continue to push us to the brink of World War III, and it is all so completely, utterly unnecessary. Any citizen of any country just wants one thing from their government. You know what it is? They want to feel safe. They want to feel like they can get up tomorrow and still breathe the air, and they can still move about, and they can still go to work, and they can still lead their lives in a peaceable manner. Is that too much to ask? You know, it's one thing if we're literally being threatened by another nation, but this is a self-inflicted problem. There is no need for us to be pushing Russia to the brink of World War III. There just isn't. So Julian Assange is a free man, and thank God for that. I hope this starts a trend, don't you? I want to give you a quote from Julian Assange that is so relevant to this. Listen to what Julian Assange, I don't know when he said this, but this is what Julian Assange said. Think about this, folks. I quote, "What are the differences between Mark Zuckerberg and me?" Mark Zuckerberg is the head of Meta or Facebook. "I give information on corporations to you for free, and I'm a villain. Zuckerberg gives your private information to corporations for money, and he's the man of the year," unquote. Julian Assange, is he not exactly right? How many have had your privacy invaded? How many feel vulnerable if you're on Facebook because you know that your privacy is at risk? Mark Zuckerberg is doing everything in his power to invade your privacy and take your personal information and share it with God only knows who. And he's a hero? Julian Assange told us what our government was doing to us for free. And he's a villain, and he's been in prison for 62 months. Do you think that's a little bass-ackwards? I certainly do. Listen to what Senator Rand Paul had to say about the Assange situation today. Senator Paul said this, I quote, "I'm relieved Julian Assange is finally free and reuniting with his family after years of wrongful persecution. Yet this plea deal sets a dangerous precedent, criminalizing journalism and damaging our First Amendment rights. The land of the free can and must do better," unquote. He is exactly right. I hate to hear that Julian Assange is pleading guilty to one count. I have sympathy for him. I have complete understanding as to why he would do this, but he shouldn't have to do this, folks. You should not have to plead guilty to this. Julian Assange was shining the light on the dirty deeds of the American government, who is gathering information in clear violation of our privacy and our rights in the Constitution, set forth in the Constitution. Julian Assange was telling all of us who are paying attention what was happening, and for that he was put behind bars. He shouldn't be pleading guilty to anything, and that's what Senator Paul is saying. This sets a bad precedent that you would have to plead guilty in order to evade incarceration. You shouldn't be fearful of your government. You shouldn't be fearful of prosecution. You shouldn't be fearful of speaking your mind. You shouldn't be afraid to speak up and talk about how you feel about issues. You should be able to speak freely in America. Isn't it strange how we have morphed into the old Soviet Union, where you got to guard yourself and guard your tongue and watch what you say for fear of reprisal, for fear that you may have your words heard by the wrong person? So Senator Paul is exactly right. So Julian Assange is a free man, and it's a great day for him. God bless that man, and I'm glad that he's free. All right, let me move on to the Trump vice presidential sweepstakes. Now, tomorrow night, today is Wednesday, tomorrow night, pardon me while I get a sip of my sparkling mineral spring water. Oh, that's so good. Tomorrow night, I believe it's in Atlanta, there's going to be a debate. These things aren't debates, but whatever the case, there's going to be a debate hosted by CNN. Why Trump agreed to this, I don't know. It's CNN, for heaven's sakes. Wouldn't you love to see a debate hosted by, I don't know, Tim Pool or Joe Rogan or Tucker Carlson or me? I would love to see something like that. But of course, it's going to be these same Trump-hating journalists at CNN who are going to be manning this debate. But it's in Atlanta. I have said on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter, my link is down below. I have said that Trump should have two conditions for this debate. Number one, no teleprompters. Nobody can use a teleprompter, no notes, no teleprompters. And number two, you take a drug test 10 minutes before the debate and make the results public. I'm cool with that. But there's a lot of speculation as to Trump's vice presidential pick. I've talked about this a good bit before, but Trump has been quoted as saying that he has already selected his vice president. He just hasn't told us who it is. But he has said that his vice presidential selection is probably going to be at the debate. Now, the latest that I have heard about Trump's vice presidential pick are these three names and a wild card. So hold on real quick. I have heard the latest, the scuttlebutt that's out there, the word on the street, if you will, is that it's between three men. The first is Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance. I'm hearing a lot of news out there about Senator Vance, who was originally a Trump, I don't know if I want to say hater, but a detractor, shall we say. He had a lot of negative things to say about Trump early on in his 2016 campaign. I like Senator Vance. I believe he's a pretty good senator. I don't know if it's wise giving up Senate seats in order to ascend to the vice presidency or any other office for that matter. Here in Alabama, Trump, when he was first elected, selected Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions as his attorney general. That didn't turn out so well. Sessions turned out to be a turncoat, of course, and Alabama lost, if you can believe it. Alabama's Republican senatorial seat flipped, vacated by Sessions and filled by a Democrat, if you can believe it, Doug Jones, who was later defeated, and now that seat is held by Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's doing an excellent job, I have to tell you. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if Trump selected Senator Tubbs. He's a pretty good guy. He's fairly straightforward. He's a plain talker, but I don't think he's going to be the pick, although he's certainly a Trump ally. But again, it's kind of risky, maybe not so much so in Alabama, but then maybe again, who knows, to give up a seat like that. These seats are important, of course. But I do like Senator Vance. He would not be my first pick, but I think it would be a fairly solid pick for Trump. It would probably put Ohio into the Trump column, but I think Ohio's going to go for Trump anyway. The second name I'm hearing, as far as the vice presidential sweepstakes are concerned, is Florida Senator Marco Rubio. This does not excite me at all. Now, Rubio is pretty. He's a pretty fella. There's some gals out there that might go for him. I don't know. I'm not that fond of Marco Rubio. I consider him to be a neocon. He would not be my selection, and I hope Trump does not pick him. I'm no longer hearing so much about Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. I consider that to be a good thing. I'm certainly not a fan of him becoming the vice president. The third name I'm hearing, and this man is picking up a lot of steam, it seems, here in the last few days. He was an early contender for the Republican nomination. No, it's not Chris Christie. I don't think that's going to happen. But this would be former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum. He's not exactly a household name. You may not know too much about him. But apparently Trump is a fan of his. Burgum is a billionaire. He's very wealthy. And he was, as I said, a former governor of North Dakota. He seems like he's kind of like a Trump guy, a wealthy businessman. He made his wealth, made his money in the private sector. He did not become wealthy after getting into political office. To be quite honest, I don't know that much about him in order to speak intelligently about him, so I can't say where Burgum would be on some of the vital issues of the day, but I'm hearing a lot of talk that he could be the choice. We shall see. Of those three, I think Vance would be the one I would like to see get the nod. So we'll just have to wait and see whether Trump selects Vance or not. I believe he's going to announce his pick fairly soon. Again, we shall see. But there's a late breaking story that I got from a man by the name of Chuck Callisto. You may not know Chuck Callisto. He is a journalist and an entrepreneur, and I follow him on Twitter. I'm going to tell you what Chuck Callisto said, but I cannot give you sources. I cannot tell you what he bases this information on. I'm only going to tell you what he tweeted earlier today. Make of it what you will. If it's true, I'm going to be shouting glory, hallelujah, because some of you know who I support for vice president. But this is what Chuck Callisto reported a while ago on Twitter. Listen closely. Quote, late breaking, several unconfirmed reports are now circulating that indicate Donald Trump has selected Vivek Ramaswamy for vice president, unquote. Lord, can I get a witness? Vivek, of course, was one of my two choices for vice president. Of course, I supported Vivek for president, to be honest with you. My other choice for vice president was Tucker Carlson. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not even sure, to be quite honest, if Tucker would even want to take the job. Vivek's another story. I feel confident Vivek would take the post were it offered to him. I'm confident in saying that. I only hope that Chuck Callisto's report are true because of Vance, Burgum, and Rubio. The only one in there that I find palatable at this point would be Vance. And that's because I don't know enough about Burgum, quite frankly. I don't have any negative or positive vibes about him yet. But if Trump were to select Vivek Ramaswamy, brother, sister, it is full steam ahead. And I would be one happy boy, let me tell you. So let's cross our fingers. Maybe Trump will do it. Let me hear down below. Who do you want Trump to pick? I'd be interested in hearing what you say. Okay, one more thing. Guess who has a new book coming out this fall? I can hardly wait. I need to find out if I can pre-order it, because if I can, I'll certainly get on the list, because I fully expect this book to sell, 8 to 10 copies. That's right, boys and girls. Hillary Rodham Clinton has a new book coming out. Why do I say Rodman? Isn't her name Rodham? Well, it's the Reverend Jackson. The Reverend Jesse Jackson always referred to her as Hillary Rodham Clinton, so we don't want to dishonor the Reverend Jackson. Hillary Clinton has a new book coming out. The only reason I mentioned this is because the title of the book made me do a double take. I saw the title, then I said, wait, what did I just read? Listen at the title of Hillary's book. The title is this: Something Lost, Something Gained. Reflections on Life, Love, and Liberty. Do I need to ask the obvious question? What in the holy hell can Hillary Clinton teach anybody about liberty? Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just make a guess that Hillary Clinton is not going to say a word in defense of Julian Assange, is not going to say a word in defense of Gonzalo Lira or Edward Snowden, is not going to say a word in defense of the J6 prisoners. Liberty to Hillary Clinton is not the same as liberty to Trailer Trash Tim, or probably to you. Hillary Clinton can school nobody on liberty. This vile woman knows nothing about liberty, and that she would write a book that contains the word liberty in the title is laughable. Now, who's going to buy Hillary Clinton's book? Oh, I think I know. I believe it's going to be the revelers on Martha's Vineyard who take to the seaside and their lawn chairs with their glass of wine as they sit by the seaside to watch the sun coming up, and they crack open Hillary Clinton's book, Something Lost, Something Gained, Reflections on Life, Love, and Liberty. And they'll just sit there with their little finger extended. Oh, isn't this just so profound? Oh, Hillary Rodham Clinton, you would have made such an excellent president. Please, no hard-working American, no normal American, no American who does actually value liberty and freedom would go anywhere near a Hillary Clinton book unless, of course, you found it 6 months later at the thrift store on sale for $1 and you needed some kindling to start a fire so you could roast some weenies, for heaven's sakes. I can't imagine reading anything this woman would write. What a waste of ink. What a waste of paper. And shame on you, Simon & Schuster, or whoever her publisher is. I think that's who it is. Can you believe they would actually pay this woman money to write a book that nobody's going to read? How much in advance did she get to write this book? They can't be making money on this woman. Who gives people like Hillary Clinton money to come and give a speech? Who the hell wants to hear her? That screeching. She's got nothing to say. Certainly nothing I want to hear. All right, there we have it, folks. I'm back in the saddle. Give me your comments down below. Listen, you can email me. The address is down below. You can follow me on Twitter. You can join me if you're interested in starting your own business. The link is down below, jointriplet.com. Check it out. I'd love to have you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, give me a comment down below, seriously, and give me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the old Triple T channel or resubscribe to the old Triple T channel. It's good to be back. Glad to have you all. Thanks for being here. This is Trailer Trash Tim, and I will see you very soon.